Welcome, Workaholics. This is Broker Only Forum Orientation and Imprinting, and it's my pleasure and privilege to bring to you some of what I think is cutting-edge, mega brokerage, really risk media power broker type leadership. We've had our share of experiences managing hundreds and hundreds of associates, and today we manage a network of about 31,000 associates in 32 different states. Give me a big amen if you can hear me okay, because I've got a hiccup with my tech again with the equalizer bar not showing up that my voice is on screen. So once I have that, amen. Thank you, Mr. Ranville up in Pennsylvania, and thank you, Vivian, down in Plantation. You know, running a brokerage is, I have a weird analogy for you as we get started, and I hope it resonates with some of our broker partners from across the country. But running a brokerage for me had always been a bit like running one of those automated detail car washes that you see in major metropolitan areas now. And as I use this analogy, I want you to bear with me. Give me a little latitude here and hear me out, that when the line is building up for one of those auto detailers and the car wash is relatively automated, nobody in the auto detailer car wash environment gets panicky. And here's why. If a Cadillac CTS pulls up, that's about a $65,000 car, and a $9,000 Hyundai pulls up, they have the identical system that they do for each of those cars. If a pickup truck pulls up or a van, they still do the same essential activities for each of those people. And that is called working within a franchise prototype environment. That's called John's mood does not affect the level of service that an individual agent gets when they come to work for John's brokerage. An individual agent who does $9 million a year versus an agent who does $900,000 a year, they get the same premise of services as it relates, especially as it relates to orientation and imprinting. That's because the service that we're doing is a system that overrides all of your judgment. Like, you don't have to think of it again. And this is where some of my ADD, HD friends that happen to be online today are challenged. Because what we need to create in these brokerage environments for you is a systematic approach to profitability. Not a emotional roller coaster, not a anxiety driven, what are we going to do on Wednesday, what are we going to do next week. It has to be systematized. So I think that analogy of the auto dealership or the auto detail car wash is important. If you can keep that in mind here as we approach the orientation and imprinting, we're going to do this for every single realtor every single time, regardless if they're a newbie or if they're an experienced professional with, 5 transaction closing every month. So it's going to become about what you do before the appointment to orient and imprint. It's going to become what you do during the appointment. That's going to be a system unto itself. And then finally, it's going to be what you do after the appointment. And each of these systems are going to become staples. Again, no matter if you're hiring one person a week or you're hiring 6 persons in a week, it would be much more efficient for a brokerage that could do group orientations and imprinting. But having managed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of realtors, some weeks we would do one at a time. Some weeks we would want to do an individual by herself or himself because they were important to us. Sometimes we would do a group orientation of 3 or 4 newer agents and just do it in a group format. But the systems that we utilized were the same every single time. So you have this opportunity during a recruitment appointment to begin to make an introduction to them about orientation and imprinting. In other words, you've enrolled them in a vision that they should trust you with their livelihood. It's a very heavy conversation when you put it that way. I'm looking you in the eye. I'm wondering if I should come to work for your brokerage. What I'm really wondering is if you are the type of person that I should trust my child's college plans with. Are you the type of person that I should trust my retirement with? Are you the type of person that I should trust my livelihood with? So when you close me for a decision, the way that you close me as a humble servant leader and introduce the concept of orientation to them is better than when you close them by saying, so do you want to come to work here? Do you want to hang your license here? Do you think you're going to join us? It's not a mature Fortune 500 caliber introduction at the end of your recruitment presentation. So what I'm going to encourage you to open your thoughts about is that it's the perfect segue for a relationship to say, not, will you sign up today? Are you ready to sign up today? But instead, we do orientation every Wednesday at 9. This Wednesday, I'd like to invite you to come into orientation. And if you'd like to, we can go through all of the features, advantages, and benefits of the relationship and how we're going to help you build your career. So we use this introduction letter. Once that appointment is set, that recruit candidate is coming in for orientation, we go ahead and set the appointment with them to come in at 9 o'clock. Immediately we pull out from a package that we have a letter that is a form letter, so we can fill in 9 a.m. Wednesday morning, and it gives them a little bit of an overview of what they're going to need to bring with them, and it gives them an overview of what's going to happen that day and how we're proud to have them in. This may seem like very, very elementary steps, but I promise you, with 30 years experience here, that orientation and imprinting will create a greater sustainable advantage for your recruitment efforts than any other thing that you can do. It will make you more proud of your company. It will make the associates that are affiliating with you more proud, and it will ultimately make you a lot more money. And all of the risk media power brokers that I'm friendly with across the country do a very, very good job with orientation and imprinting. Feel free to maximize your screenshot on the top right-hand corner to read some of the small print. So once that letter is given to them, whoever did the recruitment presentation has another form letter that goes out via email. And in that form letter, you are BCCing or CCing, depending on your preference, the mortgage rep that is in-house in your office, the title rep that is in-house at your office, the sales manager if you have one, and ultimately the broker if there's a different person who's the broker owner for that individual office or broker manager. But do you see what's going to happen when they get CC'd on this? Your mortgage rep, if he's got a 95 IQ or better, is going to pick up the phone and immediately call that recruit candidate and say, hey, I saw you're coming in for orientation on Wednesday. I'm going to make sure I pop in and say hi. I've been doing this for a long time. I wanted to introduce myself. Really excited about you joining the team. Your title rep is going to call that agent up and say, hey, I'm so excited that you're joining the team. I wanted to congratulate you. You're coming in to do your orientation on Wednesday. I wanted to pop in and introduce myself. And so would the sales manager, and so would any other broker managers or parties to their leadership. The follow-up is scheduled right then, that someone, be it your receptionist or yourself, is going to pick up the phone and call them on Tuesday. It's set in stone that there is a follow-up call that happens with that realtor before they come in for their orientation. So it goes something like this. Hey there, it's Vivian. I'm so excited about your orientation tomorrow morning. We've got a whole staff built around it. We've done a lot of preparation for you, and I've got a lot of things that I'm going to share with you. How are you doing with tomorrow morning? You going to be here bright and early at 9 o'clock? You want to have, is there a special order I can make you for coffee? Is there something that you're used to in the morning? And that's when you're feeling them out if they're committed or decommitting to that orientation. Do you understand why that follow-up call is scheduled for the Tuesday night before orientation? And if you think this is overkill, that's why you're getting beat on recruits. That's why you're only hiring people who do 6 or 8 deals a year, and you're not hiring people who do 16 or 20 deals a year. And I promise you that orientation and imprinting is the catalyst for the massive amount of change inside of your brokerage. So the last highlight there, I better get my glasses because I can't see. The realtor. Oh, the folder is created. My bad. I'm gonna have to push pause for a second and get somebody to bring my glasses. Hang on. No glasses for me. I'm all alone. So we would create this folder. Now, the email that we sent out, there's no one email. Can somebody give me an amen that you can hear me again? Because I hit that cough button and I just want to make sure you've got me back on. It's very important that you help me out here because I can't broadcast. Thank you very much. So the email that you send out before the appointment is the next step after they've left your office with the letter in their hand that confirms the time and date of the upcoming orientation. Then you're going to send them a nice little form email that goes out congratulating them on their decision and their upcoming orientation. And that's the document, that's the email that triggers the mortgage person, the title person, the sales manager to contact them. And remember, last thing before we go on from before the appointment, that you put in your calendar a reminder to have either you or your receptionist call them to qualify and confirm that they are coming tomorrow morning, and make it light. Don't say, I wanted to call and confirm. Instead say, I just wanted to, we put a lot of effort into these. We've got a lot of staff that are coming in tomorrow morning. We've put a package together for you. It's a really exciting morning for us. And I wanted to see if there was any special order that you had for coffee, see if you're going to be here bright and early at 9, and keep that nice and light and moving forward. Now, I want to go through in great detail. I hope you will grab a pen. And Carrie does a better job of this, I will admit. But one of the things that we had, and we continue to have in brokerage operations for orientation, is a package. It's not a folder per se. It's an entire packet of items that represent our orientation packet. Separate and apart from that letter that you gave them to confirm their orientation, there's going to be a cover letter or a personalized welcome letter on the front of that package. The next thing that we're going to give them is, and I'm going to go through the package in great detail, but I cannot stress how important it is to do a formal office orientation when they first get there, or when you first get up from the conference table and say, all right, we want to take a little walk through the office. I don't care if your office is 1,100 square feet, baby. You got to go up to the front door and say, every realtor gets a key. We're going to release your key once you're signed up, and once we have you all in the system. That key is your responsibility, and we take a deposit or we don't take a deposit, and this is how you use it, and there's no alarm or there is an alarm. That is the explanation of entry at the start of your orientation. Some people who are online go, why do you do 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour orientations, Russ? Well, because it takes that long. Because we're thorough. And I'll address Elizabeth's question in just a few minutes, but walk through introducing everyone. We had a policy that every employee had to stand up, walk around the desk, smile, shake hands, and introduce themselves by their name and their job description. Not just their title, but also what they do. And we would rehearse how the transaction coordinator would say that. We would rehearse how the receptionist would say that. She might say something like, I handle everything around here, so if you ever need anything, don't be afraid to call me. Taking a few minutes to walk them over to the copiers and introduce them to copier codes or printer nuance or anything little like that. Don't laugh. Take them over to the coffee station. Say, we always have refreshments here for your clients when they come in, and we went with a Keurig or we went with this automated system, and tell them why. Don't forget, that's the great time to show them where the restrooms are, and it sounds so infantile, doesn't it, when I'm saying these words? But what we're doing here is we're creating an environment where they feel like they're part of something that's bigger than themselves. And when they see detail, attention to detail and cleanliness, I'm going to reference an Inman News report that had attention to detail and cleanliness as the third most important thing for agents looking to transfer offices. Attention to detail and cleanliness. Do you think that they notice attention to detail and cleanliness when you show them where the bathroom key is? Show them it's right down the hall. It's always spotless. If there's ever a problem with your clients or you using the restroom and it's not clean, you let me know. We keep a meticulous shop here. Show where to turn in paperwork. If it's hard copies or online, of course, most of us are paperless now, but if there is a slot in the office or if they have to turn in a check request or anything, show them that during this office tour. Show them if they have a mailbox and flirt with the communications that you're going to go over later. This is a great time to say, of course, we have hard mailboxes for all of our realtors, or we have a place that our staff keeps mail for our realtors, but really everything that we communicate with you is electronic, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. That's called flirting with the communication for later. Show the agent workstations and the conference room and talk to them about availability. This is the formality of the beginning of the appointment. It's kind of like when you go to a listing presentation. You walk through the house first, and it's a great time to build rapport, make light of a couple conversations, tell a couple anecdotes or stories about some things that have happened in the office, and use this time to explain your expectations about cleanliness and order. What I mean by that, do not ever shy away from you being the authority. You are the authority. Then you say to them, it's important that we keep a clean and orderly office. If your children are going to come visit with you, we expect that you respect the quiet in the office. If you're going to bring in food, I expect that you handle yourself accordingly. If you're going to store things, you're never, ever, ever shy away from authority. That is your job, to create order. So this is the final chance in your walkthrough to let them know what you expect. And cleanliness and order is admired by everyone. So the first thing that's in the package, and this answers Elizabeth's question at the bottom, it's not that the package is available for you because you have to create your own package, but, did we write a personalized welcome letter for your brokerage? No, because we don't run your brokerage, but we don't know what's important to you as a broker. So you have to write a personalized welcome letter for your own brokerage. The second piece of the equipment that's in is, I assume you have some sort of a logo or a slogan or a name of your company. I strongly recommend, if you aspire to be a mega broker any day in the future, get yourself either a name badge formula that you use, or at minimum a branded lapel pin. These lapel pins are very, very inexpensive, and I have agents from 10 years ago, 12 years, 15 years ago that still have their branded lapel pins. They still use them, and it is a really, really great way to start to establish a sense of pride and culture. And I put there a Google search that I did this morning, and all I typed into Google, guys, is branded lapel pins. So there's no problem finding very, very inexpensive branded lapel pins. My old national franchisor used to sell them for $5 a piece, and then I found out I could buy them for $1 a piece. Branded pen in the package. I see branded pens there from anywhere from 50 cents each up to $20 each. If you're running an executive level brokerage where there's a high-end price point, I recommend you spend a little bit more on your branded pens. If you're running a small mom and pop shop, have a branded pen in the package for them and put it there. These sound like little things. The next thing that's going to be in the package, and you're going to pull it out and go over it with them, this is when you're going to go over the calendar. Every single one of you, if you're a part of Works, has access to one of the most impressive monthly calendars for your brokerage in the world. Very few brokerages of any caliber manage a training calendar as formidable as this. We have relationships with Brian Tracy, Franklin Covey, Floyd Wickman, Richard Flint. We bring in personality profiles. We bring in listing presentation, and December happens to be business planning month. So you have an opportunity to brand that calendar as your own. The biggest mistake that Works brokers make across the country is they don't take an ownership interest in that calendar. If you would start to take an ownership interest in that calendar in Roselle Park rather than putting it in a drawer somewhere, then you could actually recruit on it, retain, and upgrade your per person productivity. But too many broker owners keep it in a drawer somewhere and they never really talk about it. So the orientation, every hire, every time we review the branded calendar. The other thing that we do is we take a little bit more of a bird's eye look in the way that we service our realtors by showing them the quarterly curriculum. Every hire, every time, we go over the quarterly curriculum and some of the highlights of the events that are coming up. Is that fair, since you own those two pieces of equipment without any cost, that you might want to interject the value of those events in your future relationship with your realtors? Because if you don't, what happens is the realtors kind of drift off into their own space and they don't interact with you, and that's not real leadership, is it? So the next thing we want to do after we review the branded calendar and the branded quarterly curriculum is we want to show them that we're giving them 10 note cards. And I say something like this: Elizabeth, these note cards represent the first marketing effort that you're going to make to your sphere of influence about joining a new office. And what I recommend that you do with these is you pick your 10 most valuable referral sources and you handwrite in blue ink on the outside of this envelope their address and put your name in the top left-hand corner as a return. But on the internal, I would be very personal with what you write to your 10 most important referral sources. Who are the people that trust and respect you the most for future business relationships? And let's let them know on a personal level that you're joining XYZ Real Estate and that you're very, very proud to be affiliating with this brokerage. If you need 15, if you need 20, if you need 30. Now, there are additional note cards for sale at the front desk. Our receptionist has them. They cost about $5 per 20 or whatever the cost is. What I showed you on the bottom right-hand corner is that any company of any size or any caliber should have branded note cards. Even if you're only 5 agents, I mean, you spend $100 or $50 and you can get branded note cards. So include those in the package every hire, every time. 20 pieces of letterhead and 20 envelopes. What I'm recommending here for you to do is to send out some more formal letters to some of the people that you respect in your sphere of influence. Maybe it's the principal at your daughter's school. Maybe it's your son's high school teacher. Maybe it's the barber shop that you go to. Could be the restaurants that you frequent. Whoever is in your sphere of influence that you interact with on a regular basis, I want you as a realtor in our office to send out at least 20 formal letters about your affiliation with our company, because this is going to be the catalyst for jump-starting your production. Now, I also took the liberty to print you 20 or 30 or 40 temporary business cards. Now, we use Vista Print, and we have an online ordering form there at Vista, and they're the least expensive that you can get. Typically, anything with your name and your photograph is going to be your expense. But because you're coming on today, and you're probably going to have to wait a week or so for your business cards, we wanted to give you a surface level couple pieces of business card that you could use right now and go ahead and go ahead and get out to your folks. We give them a few postcards, and then this is my last piece in the package. It's called a referral card. And it says, now I have to stop. If I did a great job of my office tour, and I did a great job with not backing down from authority, and I did a great job with my copiers and equipment and transaction as we walk through the office and how formal and clean and orderly we are, then I've done a good job so far explaining my training calendar and their commitment to the professional development and how we provide all this for them at no cost. And then I use some reference to the fact that Keller Williams charges a lot of money for their training. They cap you out at X amount. I mean, I wouldn't pick Keller Williams out of the crowd, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, whoever my competitors are, I may infer that they're very, very expensive in training, and we're very, very proactive in our training. We didn't want to leave training to voluntary, or worse yet, make you pay for it, because less and less agents will use training if they have to pay for it. So if I've done a good job with the quarterly curriculum, and I've done a good job with the calendar of events, and I've articulated the differentiation of my brokerage, then I could say with great conviction, right now, you're probably saying to yourself that you've made the best decision of your career. Well, rising tides rise all ships. And if you're committed to this brokerage, then I want to explain to you that the more signs that we have out in the communities, the more market share we obtain as a company is better for all of us as agents. Would you agree? Yes. So I want to ask you for the names of at least 3 agents that you know of that could benefit from this caliber of leadership in their career. Maybe you work with them at another office. Maybe you've recently done a deal with them. I will or won't mention your name depending if you want to, but if you can give me their names, I'll look up their contact information and I'll call them. If you don't mind me using their name, I'll say Elizabeth just joined our office and she is really, really proud of the decision she made. I was thinking you might want to find out why Elizabeth just joined. And could I have you in for coffee? These calls are infinitely valuable if they came from a referral of a honeymoon period agent who just joined up for your office. You're going to see something here that you might think is old school and hokey. And if you only have a staff of about 3, you probably don't need a who's who. But why don't you have your mortgage partner on your who's who? Why don't you have your in-house attorney on your who's who? Why don't you have the transaction coordinator on your who's who? Because this is starting to be the warm and fuzzy part of the orientation. This is when I get to say, Elizabeth, you've been a lone wolf in Jacksonville too long. We're bringing you a tremendous amount of support from the brokerage, who's at the bottom of the organizational chart, all the way up to our receptionists and our cabinet of service providers that are in the middle there. And I want to just walk through this army of people who are going to be in your support now and show you their resumes and talk to you a little about the bios so that you know them when you reach out to them. It's going to take us just a few minutes to go through this, but I'm going to give you a copy of this Who's Who document so that you can remember their names and that when you call here, you feel like you're part of the family. Now, if you've done a good job as a broker owner, you have manufactured some really beautiful bios. So your in-house attorney better have a bio. Your in-house mortgage company better have a bio. Your transaction coordinator better have a bio. For God's sakes, you better have a bio. Your top sales manager better have a bio. And if you don't have any staff, then start to use the agents in your office on your who's who. Start to say that Tom Fonseca is here and this person is here and they're all here to help, and put them on your who's who, because you've got to make it look like you have a big we, or you're never going to grow a big brokerage. So you got to be a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, hiding behind the curtain, and you got to pretend that you're bigger than you are. So build out your who's who to make it look formidable. Now, during the appointment, at the tail end, after that big old song and a dance, you're going to collect driver's license, you're going to collect the real estate license, you're going to send somebody to go make copies of it. You're going to have some sort of a formal document they fill out and execute an independent contractor's agreement. There's a couple people online right now that are saying this in their mind. They're saying, whoa, I don't do any of that garbage. I'm 100% shop, man. I don't do any of that. If they don't fill out their paper online, I don't do it, man. Well, those people are the real problem makers in our industry. They're the people that are not leading. They're the people that are not intimate in their relationships. They're the people that are not convincing their 100% agents that they should be on a team for less split. They're not selling lead generation as a brokerage. They're not telling agents that they should be part of a national relocation and referral arrangement. They're not teaching agents anything. They're just hanging licenses for a flat fee. Now, I don't think it's the math that's bad. I think it's the leadership that's bad. So what I'm going to suggest is, if you think this is too much work to run a $60,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year realtor through the gauntlet, then that might be why you're not getting any $60,000 earners. You know, it might be why you're frustrated that you only got 5 realtors or 15 realtors and none of them are very good. So if you start to focus on orientation and imprinting, and you start to get really proud of your brokerage, then people are going to respond and the higher end earners are going to start to pay attention, right? We never shy away from collecting fees, whether it be E&O insurance or a prorated annual dues fee for a particular organization that you work with, collecting their W-9, policies and procedures manual. Assert to them that they must invest in their career, and if they can't invest in their career, you probably don't want to hire them. But this is the time to go over their policies and procedures manual at the end of the orientation. If there's any occupational licenses needed in your county, if you do have a policies and procedure manual, to give them a copy of it. Items available for purchase. Your brokerage might have note cards or envelopes or postcards available for people to purchase. If you have a lead generation system, or what we call a lead incubator or a lead harvesting software system, I would reserve that orientation for another day, because those are very, very complex pieces of equipment, and you're probably spending $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month on it. So if you don't have a lead generation or lead harvesting system, you're probably not ever going to be a very big broker. That's just a fact of 2015 real estate. But if you have a lead gen software like Market Leader, Boomtown Leads, LeadWorks, whatever, any of these lead aggregate programs, Boomtown, whatever, then you need to set up a separate orientation for that piece. If you have formal costs for your copiers and printers, if you have an associate communication portal like a Facebook private group or a text network, this is the perfect time to close them down, to get them signed up. Don't wait until they leave. Actually have them turn to the computer and like you on Facebook or join that private Facebook group. Have them join your text network right there while they're at orientation. If you don't have a private text network for your agents, you can use Group on your iPhone, or you can subscribe to a text network for about 30 or 40 or 50 bucks a month. Those text networks and private Facebook groups really do create a community feel. So I really recommend that you leverage technology to keep your communication open with your agents, and that means that when you post it, everybody sees what you posted. I even know some great brokers that have Twitter accounts and really do a great job with their community. Finally, orient them to the training library that is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week on-demand training library, and also walk them through any costs that might be associated with transaction coordination. I might be on a soapbox here, and I might already irritated some people, but I want to say this. Do you ever notice that poor people attract more poor people and rich people attract more rich people? Heavy producers attract heavy producers. Low producers attract low producers. So like attracts like. Why I bring that up here is that a lot of you make a habit of shying away from fees or shying away from people paying for things. Like you're almost embarrassed to say at the orientation that a transaction coordinator costs money. Well, don't be. Because if somebody's doing 12, 15, 17 deals a year, they understand that paying $300 for a transaction coordinator is a good thing. And if they trust your transaction coordinator and they use your transaction coordinator, then they elevate their professionalism and they can probably do more production. But we never force anybody to use our transaction coordinator. It's just available for you if you want to use it. You better have some kind of an online aggregate for your forms. Maybe it's your board's forms. Maybe it's a proprietary forms. Maybe it's called eBroker House, or it might even be called app files, if you know who they are. But you better have some place that your agents can go for all their forms. And this is the last opportunity during the orientation. Now, you're probably a good 2 hours in to the orientation by now, and this is when you go through where they can get all their forms in person, not online. I do believe in online education, but when someone's trusting me with their livelihood, I will typically spend a couple hours with them. Now, here's the big ta-da, here's the big close, here's the big final moment. The final objective of the orientation is to show them, if they're a rookie, that I've got a roadmap for them to follow, and our rookie roadmap became a big popular part of our culture. The rookie roadmap is for agents who are constantly under 6 deals a year and have never closed more than 6 deals in any one calendar year. Rookie for me doesn't refer to somebody who's new in the business. It just refers to someone who has never been productive. So I asked somebody point blank, have you ever done more than 6 transactions closed in a calendar year? Or I might say, how many deals did you do so far this year? And they're going to lie. They all lie. And then they're going to say, oh, I did this and this and this. And then you're going to say, well, actually, can you just be frank with me? If I'm going to be your employer, we might want to just talk turkey. How many transactions have you closed by October of 2015? And then they confide in you. If it's under 6 closed transactions, you absolutely positively pull out the rookie roadmap. You tell them that I know you're not new in the business, but I really fundamentally believe that you would be very well served to operate under this rookie roadmap over the next 90 days. So I might take a few minutes and go over that rookie roadmap with them. If they have done more than 6 closings, and I'm at the tail end of my orientation now, I will probably say something like this. I've paid a lot of money to have some of the best trainers in the country come in and do business planning in December. I would very much appreciate it if you could set aside an hour to be at the business planning session that's the first week of December. Business planning is the whole month of December. We've built it for you so that we can help you grow your business in 2016. Can I get a commitment from you that you will at least be at one of the business planning sessions during the month of December? Do you see why this final objective is either to slide him into rookie roadmap or slide him into business planning in December? Now imagine it's not December. I want to tell you about Monday. We're having a big training event and a cocktail hour on Monday. We're bringing in a $40 million producer who's going to do a training. It's a big event for us. We'd really, really like you to be there. So let's say you don't have a big event. Then you say, hey, Barry, I appreciate all the time you spent with me. My final objective here is that you go out and get your staging designation. Now, I'm willing to pay for it, okay? I have one coming up on January 5th. It's a 3-part series, so you're going to get through the holidays, and then I'm going to want you to go through that staging designation. It's going to help you take better price listings. It's going to help you sell the listings that you take. If you want to be a listing agent, you need to go out and get your staging designation. Is that fair? He commits. Then you might tell him, hey, it's also available on the on-demand library if you want to go see it earlier than waiting for January. If staging is not my gag, but I got somebody who really wants to be a listing agent, I might steer him to shark feeding. At the final objective of my orientation, it might say something like this. Have you ever wanted to list more houses? Have you ever truly wanted to have a large listing inventory? I went ahead and paid for a coaching program for all my agents. It's called shark feeding. It cost me a lot of money, but I'm willing to put you through it if you'll commit to me that you'll take it. It's just It's called Shark Feeding Rapid Fire, so it's 3 sessions, and it should really catapult your listing inventory if you pay attention and do it. And then if I don't participate with Works, or I don't believe in Works, or I don't think it's good, and I don't have a cocktail coming out, and I don't have Business Planning Month coming out, then the very, very least I would say, if I'm Elizabeth in Jacksonville, and I've just gone through orientation with my agents, I might say to them, hey, what do you think about giving me an hour next week where we could talk about your business plan? Can you come in around 2 o'clock on Wednesday or 5 o'clock on Thursday towards the end of the day while we're winding down, so you and I can just spend a little bit of time talking about your business plan and what you want to accomplish in 2016? Whatever you do, don't let your realtors leave orientation without a significant call to action for the next step. This is imperative. It's the whole reason that the final objective of orientation is to get them to feel like they're taking another step with you. What this does for the human mind, what this does for the emotional connection that they make with your journey, is that they believe that they are part of something that's bigger than themselves. They feel like they're being swept up into something of momentum for their career, and what they believe wholly is they should tell their coworkers at their old office that they should come talk to you. It is the greatest catalyst for recruitment energy that you will ever see in a brokerage, is to do a Fortune 500 caliber job of orientating your agents and imprinting your brand in their minds, their hearts, and their souls. So if that's not enough of a soapbox for you to feel my conviction, I dare you to compete with someone who does it properly, because it will not be effective. If you don't get your orientation and imprinting straight, you will never be a mega broker. So after the appointment, there's some paperwork to do. Obviously, that slides back over to the receptionist, transaction coordinator, but we do have a formal checklist. And if you have showing desk, if you have particular bookkeeping processes, if you have a particular communications portal or something to do at the board, this is the after the appointment checklist, and it's very, very simple to accommodate. So I apologize for my little soapbox. This is an area that I have a tremendous amount of passion and conviction about, and I really think that it can create a positive, lasting change, create a durable competitive advantage for you in the marketplace. Systems are about what you're going to do before the appointment, what you're going to do during the appointment, and what you're going to do after the appointment. If you would send us your testimonials, if you would send us some notes about how effective your orientations have become, and even if you have challenges with where your own conviction lies, reach out to us at russ@associateworks.com, and I will try to assist you as best I can from afar. Thanks again for being on. Big thank you to Annie Mac Home Mortgage, our national sponsor. If you don't have Annie Mac in your office, shame on you. Get out there, call them, see if you can build a relationship with a loan officer that's in your marketplace. Thanks again.